Who were these two students?
They were both young. I think they were both freshmen, or at least people assumed as much. Going through class, going through everyday life, walking across this drill field every single day, probably.
Police arrested David Eisenhauer in his dorm, saying he killed the middle schooler.
No one saw it coming. He was normal.
What do you want the world to know about David Eisenhauer?
He was a good person, at least from my experience. My name is Kirk Gartrell, and I went to high school and junior high with David Eisenhauer. Everything he did, he worked hard at, and he wanted to be the best at. Whether it was school, whether it was just the chess game.
I make my personal goals achievable.
What is your favorite memory of David Eisenhauer?
My very favorite, I held the 800-meter record, and I knew this entire year he was trying to beat it. And I cheered him on during his race, and he walked up to me, he's all slouched over, and he's got this giant smile on his face. And I was like, so did you beat me? He's like, I finally beat you by 1 second. And I just gave him a big old hug and smiled and said it's about time.
You've told me as much as you know about David Eisenhauer. Give me a portrait of Natalie Keepers.
Natalie Keepers was extremely smart. She was very academically driven. She had connections to NASA.
She wanted to be successful, as any person does.
Finding a job in this economy has gotten to be extremely important.
So, what first attracted you to Natalie?
First, I just got to know her as a friend, and eventually a crush developed.
In 8th grade, she struggled with mental illness. What did you sense or see?
I knew that she was self-harming back then. She had self-inflicted wounds on her wrist, and I believe she would cut her stomach as well with a thumbtack.
And you said she struggled with depression. Did she talk to you about that?
Yeah, not terribly often, but it would come up every now and again.
So, how did you hear the awful news?
My friend, who was actually his neighbor, sent me a text, and he said, you'll never believe whose mugshot this is. And I look at the article, and there's David's face. I didn't know how to take it in.
How about now?
Now I still don't know what to feel.
Her accused killers appeared in court together.
Until he's tried either guilty or innocent, to be honest.
And you're going into this with an open mind?
Yes, very much so.